comments. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, it's that time again. It's Thursday morning again. Did you miss me last week? I hope you missed me. Anyway, I was traveling. I was on a plane. I was busy doing other things. All right. So before we excuse me, before we begin, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is standing to my right side here. And I'd like to say good morning to Chris, our great facilitator. Good morning, Chris. And I'd like to say good morning to all of you out there who are, we hope, you know the rule. I hope you're raring up to ask questions, to put comments in there. We, if if you're willing to play with me, I'm willing to play with you. But the minute the comments and the questions dry up, we're done, and I'm off to doing something else. All right. So, Chris, before we go any further, is there anybody there?
Yeah, we had a bunch of people already lined up in your chat room.
Good. Good. Okay. All right. So, let me see. Let me just give everybody a minute to gather themselves to get together, and let me think. What have I been doing this week? Well, so last week in Florida, I went down to Orlando to hear a concert that my grandson was involved in. He went to Juilliard summer camp in Orlando this year. He spent 2 weeks. He had an amazing time. He was very nervous about going. It was funny because it's the first time he's ever been away from home in that way. So he was very nervous about going, but he loved it. And so then my daughter came from New York. She came to stay with me in Florida, and then the next day we drove down to see Reese, to hear Reese, and then the most exciting thing for me was then they came back with me, and we had a few days sitting by the pool, splashing, splishing, sploshing. It is summertime after all, and we had a great few days there, and then we had to get on a plane and come back, and here I am in New York City, where it's been very warm, although it's not been too bad today. It started off at 74 degrees, that's Fahrenheit. For any of you doing centigrade, don't think that we're boiling and boiling and boiling here. We're using the Fahrenheit, our, what we used to use in England in the olden days, as my grandson would say. We were always Fahrenheit. Now I think in England, it's they're using centigrade. I don't get that at all. But anyway, there we are. I can't figure out the difference between centigrade and Fahrenheit. And I know that some of you may want to say to me, oh, it's a 10 degrees, or it's a 30 degrees, or if you just had 40 to it, or whatever, but don't bother because I shall forget. And then I'll be back to not knowing what the temperature of centigrade is. But anyway, it's warm and sunny this morning. It's going to be a beautiful sunny day. And so I'm here and I'm raring to go. I hope that some of you have been watching my, oh gosh, what have we been doing? I hope that some of you have been going to my YouTube channel, and we've been doing stuff on Instagram, and we're going to be starting, I think, next week on a place called Substack. I have no idea what it's all about, but my daughter does. And so she's doing all of this stuff. And it's been so fun. And we've had so many people sort of commenting and sending likes and all of that stuff. And we've been getting great responses. So here we are today. And I'm looking forward to talking to all of you, all of my regulars, all of those of you who watch me on a regular basis, plus any newcomers that come along. And I think, Chris, I think now I'm ready for questions. So what do we have?
Well, Mark has popped on, first one in this morning,
Hi,
saying
Mark.
hello to you, and he's glad to be here. Then we have someone called Tin Foil Hatter.
Oh, you know what that comes from, don't you? That comes from that movie with Mel Gibson, and I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's amazing that I can remember the name of the actor. It's usually the other way around, where they, to protect themselves from aliens, they all wore, they made hats made out of tinfoil, and or as in America you might say aluminum, or and in England we said aluminium, but paper anyway. And they made those tin hats. I love that. I love that. Okay, let's hear what tin hat has to
Tin
say.
foil hatter.
I got it.
So it might be a teeny bit long. My
Okay.
mom crossed over almost 3 years ago and has not been heard from. They are also wondering how you've been and saying greetings from Michigan. And so many have crossed over. This place is the lonely one. I
Yes.
trust they're doing fine anyway, and I hope they can't see us now.
Oh, but of course they can see you. Okay, all right. So of course they can see you. I mean, our loved ones in the spirit world, they don't just then disappear off and do their own thing. They're still part of this earth, the cluster of souls that is us, that we are all of us on this earth plane a part of. And we are, you know, they are part of us, and they watch us and they watch over us. Of course they do. And they try in their way, in their very best way, to guide us. Of course we have to listen, we have to learn how to listen to what they have to say to us, but absolutely they're with you. And I'm a little disturbed as to why you would hope that they didn't see you, because having had their own human experiences, they know what life is all about. They know what turmoil is about, that is all about. They know what fighting and arguing is all about. They know what families are all about. So who better to help to steer and to guide you than those who have perhaps been through those experiences themselves? And even if they can't guide you, they're there to support you. And we all of us need that support. I love the fact that my daddy, even all of these years later, I'm trying to think when he passed in 1976, I do believe, so long ago, 30 years ago actually. And I he still comes to visit with me. He's still a part of my life. I still, look to him if I have a question or a concern, and brings me incredible comfort, and it brings me incredible comfort. Oh, look there. And I'm looking at my daddy now, but also at my darling brother Terry, who I totally did not expect. I didn't not expect either of them this morning, but anyway, here we are. So I have my family with me, which is just makes me feel so good, makes me feel so wonderful, that they have that support. So please, darling, don't be afraid. If your life is in a bit of chaos right now, or a little turmoil right now, don't be afraid that your loved ones will see you. They will be a part of your lives, and they will, if nothing else, they'll be there to support you and to care about you. Chris.
Amanda says, my question is about my spiritual journey and work life. I'm
Okay.
looking for more information on whether this is the right path for me. I'm registered for training in Reiki healing.
Um, well, you've told me really very little, and my job here is not to give quick answers. I could glibly tell you that you're on the right path, but the truth is I don't know. I think you maybe need to sort of perhaps think about having a consultation with someone, or go to someone who you can trust, who can advise you on where it is you should be right now. If you've got a family member that you can chat things over with, it always helps to chew things over with your friends and with your loved ones. But mostly we can tell if we're on the right path, if it's because we need our soul. Remember, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, hopefully in a spiritual way, but we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we need to listen to our soul. We need to listen to the heartbeat of our soul. It helps also if you do know your soul sign, if you know the characteristics of your soul, if you know the characteristics, if you know what kind of energies, what elemental forces are that created your soul. My daughter's sort of jigging around here. I don't know if most of you perhaps have seen this. Soul signs is where we go for all of that information. I know that people, this is not an advertising forum, but I will hold it up again because this book, once you understand about soul signs, once you understand about the type of energy your own soul is created from, and you understand the heartbeat of your soul, and you understand how your soul will speak to you and can tell you things. Once you understand that, then you can start to begin to understand whether you are in fact on the right path. You can also understand why you have made the decisions that you have made, why you want to make the decisions that you're going to make. You can also understand about relationships and why you've heard me say this before, many of you, why did I have an amazing relationship with my father and not with my mother? Well, my mother's soul sign was the total opposite, the most, let's see, the most incompatible soul sign to mine. I'm an earth sign, she was a fire sign. Having said that, not just about that, because my closest, my longest, and my best friend is a fire sign. And so if you sort of take it on face value that earth signs and fire signs don't get on, that's not true. We just have to learn to work together. And my friend Kay, who many of you have seen on Cracking Up, is definitely a fire sign. She is definitely a bright star. She's beautiful. She's fantastic. And she definitely drives me crazy because I'm an earth sign and I'm a planner and a strategist, and she is much more of a spontaneous and creative and so on. Anyway, once you sort of can figure out what your soul sign is and what kind of energy your soul is created from, then you begin to understand the decisions that you make. You begin to understand yourself and what it is that you need and how you express yourself. And you also begin to understand why some relationships work and some don't. Um, but most importantly, once you start to discover which soul sign you are, once you understand that you are a soul first and foremost, above and beyond this physical, once you understand that, then when I say to you, you need to listen to your inner self, you need to listen to that voice within you. it- I'm saying to you, you need to listen to your soul because your soul will tell you things. Your soul will speak to you. If you allow your soul its a voice and you learn to listen to that voice, then you will never again wonder, am I on the right path, without being able to go somewhere within you to your own soul to find the answers. Am I doing the right thing? Okay, I've said enough about that now. Chris.
All right. Mark says tomorrow will be Bobby's 7th year in paradise. I lost Bobby, my mom, Gidget, and Doug within 4 months. My heart is with them. If they have any messages, I'm open.
Well, you know that the message that they have for you is love, 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 love. But they also are also so very proud of you because you've had a tough time. You've been struggling, and they're so proud of how you're dealing with what's going on with you right now. As am I, by the way, Chris.
All right. Then we have Mark saying, I've followed your videos on angels appearing in ways unawares and loved seeing your input, for I know in my soul they exist right here, right now.
I can remember people used to say to me all the time, "Do you believe in angels?" And I try to be very, very grounded in my work as a spiritual medium and healer. I try to be very grounded. And if I don't know, or if I haven't had an experience of something, then I'm not, just because other people say, "Oh, I've seen angels," doesn't mean that I necessarily believe that. It certainly means that I can't speak to that. So I can remember for many, many years, people would say to me, "Well, Rosemary, do you believe in angels?" And my answer would always be, "Well, I'll let you know if I see one." But so far, I have never seen an angel, so I really don't know. The first time I saw an angel was in my sitting room in England, and she wasn't at all, she didn't look like any angel that I had imagined. You imagine angels with halos and wings and all that, right? And I can remember I was on a phone call with a lady in California. She was having a consultation with me, and one of her questions to me was, "Can you tell me who my angel is?" And I thought, "Oh no, not another angel question," because that was not my thing. I didn't know about angels. I'd never had experience of angels. So how could I speak to it? So I answered all the other questions. We had a fantastic time, and that was it. And I thought, okay, this is great. Then I said to her, because she was talking with her mother in the spirit world most of the time that we were talking together. Her mother had been able to tell her where she was standing, the view that she was looking out at. Yes, she was in California and I was in England. Isn't that amazing? Anyway, and then she asked me this, but Rosemary, you didn't tell me who my angel is. And I thought, oh, golly. And then I saw this lady, very ordinary looking lady in my sitting room. And she's sort of short and little on the plump side. And she sort of looked at me and she told me that her name was Mary. And so I said to this woman on the phone, well, I really don't see your angel. Little did I know, I don't see your angel, but I do have this lady here. She tells me that her name is Mary, and that she's been waiting a long time to talk to you. And she's, well, we don't know she didn't know. But as I'm talking to her, and as she's thinking and telling me she doesn't know a Mary. That's not a name that's anywhere in her family. As I'm talking to this lady on the phone, the lady in my sitting room begins to turn around. And as she turns around, and then now she's moving very slowly, and now she has her back to me, and I looked, I was so shocked. And you won't believe this because it is a ridiculous story. But I as she turned around, I saw these wings. They were quite small, not big giant things. I would have seen those immediately, but I saw these wings, and then as she's turning back to me, she could see the shock on my face, and she smiled at me. And I always remember her words, and she said to me, "Tell her," meaning the person on the phone in California, who may or may not be watching today. We don't know. And if she does, that would be great because she would remember this conversation. She said, "Tell her um, that I am her angel, that my name is Mary." And these next words I will never forget. She said, "Joy, oh, greatest of joys, that she should finally ask for me." Woo! Wow. And since that time, let me tell you, I've seen many angels in many forms, some of them looking like the angels with the halos, the wings, and everything. But I'm going to be telling some angel stories on YouTube. So you'll sort of need to keep connecting either with my Facebook page or just keep following, just follow, and then we'll let you know what's going on. And also, uh, if you want more of this stuff and if you want more of me, then you have to share. You have to send these videos out. You have to send all this stuff out to different people, and you have to encourage people to follow and like. And you do know that I do not know a thing about what I'm talking about, but my daughter, who is helping me now with all of this, thank goodness, is telling me we have to have shares and follows and likes and all of that stuff. Anyway, all I'm doing is sitting here doing my thing for you. But yeah, we are going to be doing some angel stories, which we're going to be doing, if I remember correctly, we're going to be doing them on YouTube, and we're also going to be on Substack, whatever Substack might be. Uh, Again, don't ask me. I'm not the technical person. I'm just the person who knows all about this other stuff, which is so much more exciting to me. So if you want to know more, just keep checking in with all of these things, and we'll let you know. But follow, 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 and encourage everybody else you know to follow, follow, follow. I love angel stories. Don't you love angel stories? But I also love, we have so many stories. We have so many stories. Chris.
Rebecca says, "Hi, Rosemary.
Hi, Rebecca.
My grandma crossed over 6 months ago. I wasn't able to say goodbye to her. I want to know if she's fine and if she has any messages for me. Thank you."
Um, well, I'd love to, this is not the forum for me to give personal messages, although it has been done. So there's no no reason why you shouldn't keep asking me. And if we have time, or if Gregor needs to step in here and to give a message, he will. But I first of all, let me say that I'm sorry for your loss. And I think someone started out at the beginning by saying, this is here on this earth is the lonely place. And when our loved ones in the spirit world, they when they move into the spirit world, then then they're with their family, they're with their loved ones, and I'm sure they're having a blast, while we here on this earth plane are sort of mournful for their loss. But I'm sure, and Gregor is tapping me on the shoulder, I'm sure that she's fine, I'm sure that she's happy, and also I'm hearing the word love. So I think also they're sending you love, 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 love. Chris.
Rachel says, "I keep seeing owls flying near me and in trees near our house.
Do
Is
you?
there a spiritual meaning to owls?"
Well, actually, yes, I think. Um, whenever I personally see large birds, of course, particularly eagles, uh, or if I'm looking for a sign, if I have a decision to make, and maybe I'm looking for a sign, I'll often see feathers. We're going to talk more about signs at another time, what we should and shouldn't be looking for when we receive signs from the spirit world. But I think owls and large birds we should always pay attention, because I think they're always sort of there to sort of reassure us and to let us know that we're being watched, we're being watched over. Not we're being watched in that big brother's watching us, that we're being watched and watched over by our loved ones in the spirit world. And of course, I don't know if you know what your spirit animal is, but see, we've so many things to do, haven't we? Well, so what is it? So many things to do and so little time to do them in. But we'll be talking at some point about spirit animals and sorry, yeah, our, oh, let me get this right. Sorry, our symbols and our animals, each of us has individual animals and power symbols um, that we each of us can personally use. And perhaps your owl is your power symbol, your power animal, should I say. Now, these power symbols and power animals, let me just say this, they don't actually give you power. It's not that the animal itself has the power. It's not that the symbol itself has the power. These symbols and these animals, they are there and they come to us or they're given to us to remind us. And maybe this is what this owl is doing for you, reminding you of the power that you have within you. Because often in our human state, we feel so powerless. And we often are powerless. Politicians make the decisions, other people make the decisions, our bosses make decisions for us. And often we feel so powerless in our lives. But in fact, we are, each of us individually, far more powerful than we actually understand that we are. So much more powerful, so much more uh so, so much more in charge than we actually like to think we are. And often when we're shown these power symbols or power animals, as perhaps this owl is for you, it is just to remind you you are not powerless. You own your power. Don't be afraid. But we'll talk more about those things at another time. Chris.
Rhonda says, I wish your book Soul Signs was around 50 years ago. Amanda says, thank you for the insight, Rosemary. I will look for your book on soul signs. Many thanks.
I think, Chris, you can get it on Lulu. I
Yes,
think.
I'll put up a link.
So Chris will put up the link and then you'll know where to find it. But and I'll pick it up one more time for you. Look, here's the thing. When you read this, there are many, many different soul signs. Many. It's very similar in some ways to astrology, except it's nothing like astrology. This is about the soul's creation, the energy of the soul's creation, and what kind of character traits each soul has. Very important. But the key to understanding this, the big key to understanding this is first find your soul group. Are you an earth sign, an air sign, a water sign, or a fire sign? Which are you? Because once you find your soul group, then you only have 3 choices of soul sign. One of those choices you will eliminate. You'll say immediately, that is not me. The other 2, you might go back and forth for a little bit, and you have to figure out which of those 2 soul signs you have, you have the most character traits of which one of these soul signs. And that's how you discover your soul sign. First, your group. If you start to read all the soul signs, this is what's going to happen. You're going to say, oh, there'll be a description of them. Oh, well, that's me. Oh, well, that's me, but that's me. Well, how am I supposed to know this? But that's me. Well, that's me. And you'll end up getting very confused as to which actual soul sign you are. Soul group first. Are you an earth sign, an air sign, a fire sign, a water sign? Now, we talked about compatibility. This book is amazing. It's like a lot of people refer to it as their Bible. And even if it was not around 50 years ago, you can still use it. No matter how old you are, you can still use this book because it tells you about relationships. It helps me to understand why my mother and I, we had this going on for all of my life, and we were never. She would talk about. She would tell everyone else about her 3 lovely daughters. I don't quite know what that was. Did you sneeze then? She tells everyone about her 3 lovely daughters, whereas in fact she had 4 lovely daughters. I'm the one. We all knew, my sisters and I, we all knew which one she left out. That would be me. And it's because our soul signs are so incredibly different, and the energy is sort of there's an inevitable clashing. She is a fire sign. My mother was a fire sign and a retrospective soul. I am an earth sign and a warrior soul, and it's like this. But so which types of energy you're most compatible with? but having said that, my best and my closest friend Kay, who I think I've mentioned this earlier on, you've all known, you have all met on our Cracking Up show every the last Friday in every month. We have such fun. She is my closest friend, and she is a fire sign, but she's a bright star and she shines. She's incredible. And I could wring her neck sometimes, but she's incredible. But it's the energy that we have, and we can find ways to work around energy, and we can find ways in understanding how our soul is created, gives us the first big leg up to understanding why we have difficulties with some people and not with others. Okay, Chris, moving on.
Eric says, I used the pendulum and got two no answers about the two job applications, but I got a yes for some future job that's coming. So I'm trusting the voice within.
Okay, keep me posted. Keep me posted, Daffodil Man.
Mark says, the other night I dreamt of my fur son, Gage. We were in some
Oh,
location, but holding him in my arms. I felt him lick my face and cuddle into my neck, and
oh.
I could hear him say how much he loved me. Yay. Please tell Samantha how much I appreciate her. She is a beautiful soul.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I appreciate her too. You know, when we're going to be doing more and more and more media work because Samantha's now really into it. She is the worst taskmaster. She cracks the whip and then I have to jump. How roles reverse? How roles reverse? Anyway, so she's in charge of all of that, but we want to make it a family thing. So we're at some point going to be bringing Reese into this. And if you're watching, if you happen to be on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you connect, we are going to be putting up a video of Reese playing at the Juilliard uh, summer camp in Orlando. We thought I thought I'd share that with you because if we're talking about spiritual beings, and if we're talking about mediumship, my daughter Samantha does have some of that. She has an amazing intuition. Uh, but Reese is kind of, you know how we say that these things skip a generation. Reese is the one to watch. I'm so excited about that. He knows all about going back and down and through the hole. You don't know any of that, do you? But he does. He knows all about how to give healing. And he's my grandson, you see. So I have to impart these things to him. But he knows these things. But not only does he know them because I've told him these things, he has an inner knowing of things also. So we're bringing the whole family on board. So watch out, everybody. This should be a fun time. Chris.
Ryan says, hello. What could be added to the school systems to help children grow their abilities? Perhaps kids need more of something in film or TV that can help them too.
Um, I think that's a really great question, Ryan. Excuse me. But I'm going to take what you've said and I'm going to sort of expand on my own views. I think that communication is key, and I think that helping children to be able to express themselves respectfully, I think helping kids to express themselves, whether it's through music, as my grandson does, or whether it's through writing or art or whatever it is, or whether it's through sport. Um, but I also think there should be more sort of one-on-one communications. And in my school, when I was sort of growing up, we had this great debate system, and sort of once a month or so, kids would get together and the whole school would be a part of this, would be the audience, and we'd have two teams debating different subjects, and that was great. And I think they ought to have more debate so that people can communicate and also understand that I have a point of view and I have a point of view, and my point of view is different than yours, but let's not scream and rage at each other. And let's not insult each other. Let's not be mean to each other because we think differently. Let's debate. Let's talk it out. Let me see if I can understand your point of view, even though it might not change mine. Let me see if I can understand your point of view, even if it won't change my point of view. But at least then we stop the stuff that is going on in the world today, the anger and the vitriol, because one person feels differently than another person. This person thinks that, that we should have this leader of the world. This person thinks we should have this leader of the world. And the vitriol and the spite and the meanness that is coming out in people, I had a I had a great message on my Facebook page or Instagram, whatever it was. I was answering messages yesterday, and this was sort of a little bit older message, but there are always those people out there, aren't there? And this person wrote, "You are ugly." Sorry, your makeup is really ugly, and you look to be at least 100 years old. And I just laughed, but because what are you going to say? I mean, this person's got their own opinion, and who am I to argue with that? But it occurred to me that, and thinking about the world and thinking about all of this ugliness in the world that people are displaying, it's not about how we look that's important. It's how we behave. And an ugly mind and ugly thoughts create an ugly person. You might be beautiful on the outside, but the ugliness within you, believe you me, shines out, and the spirit world can see that. So just we need to be kinder and nicer. But there is, look, going back to the school system thing, there is one thing that I really wish that schools would discuss. I wish that society in itself would discuss. And in our Western world, we avoid this subject like the plague. In other countries and in other cultures, they talk about it as a natural part of life, which of course it is. But we educate our children in our Western society. We educate our children uh, um, about birth and and birth control and all of that stuff. But there's no curriculum in any school in the Western world that I know of where we talk about death. And death has a huge impact on us, and a huge impact on us individually, within our families, within our communities. And so I really think that it should be a subject that we're willing to discuss, not in a morbid way, because honestly, death and dying is simply the transition that takes us from one world to the next. So, Ryan, I appreciate your question. I don't know if I've answered it or not, but anyway, I think we could have lots of improvements, but I think communication should be the key. Chris.
Mark asks, can you explain to us all how the spirit world versus our world, how time is non existent in the spirit world? We use time on this plane to give us direction, but a day here is different from the spirit world.
Well, how much time? I love the question and thank you for it. But how much time do you think we've got on this show? It's going to take a lot more time. There it is. See, it's going to take a lot more time. But yes, time in the spirit world, time out there in the universe is very different, and it's a very different concept than the time. Look, who made the clock? Who gave us the 24 hours? Who, we as human beings devised the system of the clock and the time and the minutes and the seconds. And unfortunately, although it's a great tool and we all need it, thank goodness whoever it was invented it. I'll have to find out who invented it. I don't know. But it's a great system and it works. But it doesn't work when we are tied to the clock to the point of um, discarding spontaneity, discarding others. I don't have time for this. Come on. I don't. How many times do we say to our kids when they're getting ready for school, I don't have time for this? Come on. Whereas, if we were more tolerant, it would be take your time. Don't, yeah, yeah. And that's going to work, isn't it? And I can hear you all laughing. That's really going to work when you're trying to race your kids to school, or you're racing your kids to some soccer game or whatever it is. But yes, time is of a very different essence. And I think, one of the exercises I give to my students, and you might all want to try this because it's interesting. Um, and so I suggest a day without a clock, a day without time. Pick a day. It's probably for most of you going to have to be a weekend. Pick a day when you have to cover all the clocks in the house. You have to take your watches off. You don't have to look at the clock at all. And you plan your day and you do things around the day. And you don't even look at the time. And the only way you'll know what time it is if the sun is rising or if the sun is setting. Uh, you'll know when to eat because not that it's 1 o'clock lunchtime. You'll know when to eat because, geez, I'm hungry. Listen to your body, listen to nature, watch and learn. Get rid of the clock. I'm not suggesting you should do it for a lifetime every day, because we where would we? I mean, this show starts at 11 o'clock on the dot. We try, so we are all tied to time. But try a day without time. Try a day without clock. Try a day where you're just going on your own instincts. You wake up when you want, you eat when you want, you go to sleep when you want, and there's nothing about the 24-hour clock that interferes with that day. It is so freeing, it's so amazing, and also I think it helps you to become more sensitive and more attuned, not only to nature around you, but it helps you to become more attuned to your own body and your own physical needs. Chris.
Christine says, I wonder about the next move. Should I just follow my bliss? Live in the good feeling. Had a life full of suffering, and that was not so fruitful in the end to be so self sacrificing.
Don't be self-sacrificing, that's for sure. Live in the moment. I was in a car yesterday being taken to Reese's composing camp, and oh gosh, the driver, he was so angry and kept getting frustrated with people on the road, and not that he didn't have cause, but he was, and in the end I said to him, you need to you need to calm down. Well, when someone's annoyed and upset, the last thing they want is somebody saying to them, calm down, because that just gets you more riled up, doesn't it? But I tried to say to him, we need to find joy in our lives. And darling, if you find joy in where you are and you're living your best life where you are, then continue. Stop being self sacrificing. It's okay to be selfish in life, provided you're not walking over somebody else or hurting someone else badly. It's okay. And sometimes we do have to hurt other people if they're demanding and pushy and they want things all of their own way. You do have to say sometimes, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I please. This is my time. I'm doing what I please. So don't be afraid to be selfish. Chris.
Ryan is asking, what's the most amazing thing you've experienced during client readings? The other day, I saw a medium giving a message slowly and carefully in the Polish language, although they usually spoke English.
I'd love to ask the question, but it would take me too long to think about it. I can't say which is the best. There are certain things that stand out to me. I remember lying in bed and a little girl came to me, and I don't know, she was maybe 3 or 4 years old or something, and she looked at me, and I said, "Oh, hello, who are you?" I'm in bed. It's in morning time. I'm just thinking about getting up. I said, who are you? She said to me, my mum is coming to see you today. I said, is she now? She said, can you tell her about the tiger? I said, what do you mean? Tell me about the tiger. The next minute she'd gone. So when her mother and her mother's friend came, they both came. That same little girl was standing between them. One of the women was blonde, 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 like the little girl, and the other was had dark, black, almost black hair. Uh, but the little girl with the blonde hair was standing next to the dark-haired lady with her hand on her shoulder, saying, "This is my mummy. Don't forget, tell her about the tiger." And well, there's so many stories. I'm not going to tell you what happened. There's so many amazing stories, but thank you, Ryan, for asking the question. I appreciate it. Chris.
Neil's asking, do you think we're born with an assignment before we're born, or are our lives planned before we're born? I hope
Oh,
this question is not too complicated.
no, it's not. No, darling, it's not complicated at all. Okay, I do believe that prior to our coming here to this earth plane, we do have certain, remember, we are souls learning, growing, wanting to expand our experiences, wanting to expand and to learn in the best way. So I do think that we do have certain goals, certain hopes, certain ideas and certain goals that we would like to achieve. I think also that we have, and I know this answers lots of people's questions, we have those in the spirit world who are much wiser than we are, much more knowing than we are, who will advise us if we tell them what it is that we need to learn, or maybe they might have suggestions for us, and they will then uh, suggest certain environments where we can learn, where we can grow, where we can experience the things that are going to teach us these lessons. I one of my questions that often I'm asked is, what is my purpose in life? And your soul does have a purpose and does come here for reasons. Whether or not we fulfill those reasons is all about our choices, and it's all about, we are throughout our lives given opportunities to reach those goals. We are put in situations whereby, if we take the opportunities, or if we're sensible, we listen or whatever, we can in fact pounce on those opportunities, and we can reach our goals. But I think that, for so many of us, of course, when we come here, on a material level, on a physical level, we have no recollection of that, but our soul retains that information. Our soul retains what it wants from life. We just have to learn to listen to it, which I'm going to come right back to soul science again. It is important, if you know the type of energy that your soul has been created from, earth elements that your soul has been created from, if you know the character traits of your soul, you have a head start in understanding everything else. Chris.
Annalise says, I have a question for you regarding a battery operated candle. For 2 days, it turned on and off and on again. So there's also a lamp turning on. So
Ooh,
now and then, can it be a message from my son or husband? Could you
absolutely.
find out if they want me to know something?
Well, okay. We're talking about signs from our loved ones in the spirit world, and our loved ones in the spirit world, especially if they see that you're grieving, or they see that you need help, or sometimes it's just because they just want to be with you, and they just want you to know that they're with you, and enjoying life with you. I mean, I've had husbands sitting on the sofa next to their wives watching football shows and so on, and they just, and in the Super Bowl, our loved ones in the spirit world could come and join in if we celebrate that sort of thing. Whatever we're celebrating, whatever we're doing, whether it's something fun or whether it's something difficult that we're going through, our loved ones in the spirit world, they are there, they are with us, but very often they want us to know that they're there, so they give us signs. And one of the really great things about energy, and everything is about energy, this earth is it's all about energy, the universe is all about energy. Um, when someone in the spirit world puts their mind to it, they can create that energy or that power surge, or that in some cases lack of power, hence the light flickering on and off. So we will be talking on and off throughout the coming shows about what signs we should watch for, and so on. The Native Americans believe, as do I, um, that those tiny winged creatures, for instance, the butterfly, the dragonfly, the small birds, even the big birds, those tiny winged creatures, often someone in the spirit world will use that little bird or that butterfly, and they'll whisper, can you go be with them? Let them know that I'm here. Now, the butterfly is not your loved one. Let's be clear. The butterfly is not your husband, but your butterfly might have been sent by your husband, whispering in the butterfly's ear. And so our tiny winged creatures bring us messages from our loved ones in the spirit world. So they are more signs for you to watch for. Oh my goodness, keep going. I love loving this show. Keep going.
All right. Did you want to mention the live and in-person event you're doing in Connecticut?
Oh, of course. Why don't I mention that live and in person show that I'm doing? Yes. So on the 22nd of August, I'm doing a live, I've don't even know what it's called, but basically I'm going to be there in Connecticut. If you want to know more details, you'll find them. Chris will send the link to you as to where you can find details of where to go for that. And so I'll be, it'll be an evening with spiritual medium Rosemary Altea. That's me. Spiritual medium. That's me. Talking to the dead, simply put. That's me. Of course, we don't believe in death and dying. So when I'm talking to the dead, trust me, they're hopefully going to have lots to say to us. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be giving messages from those in the spirit world. And I'm excited to do it. I'm more excited because my daughter, Samantha, yes, she's coming with me, and she's going to be filming the event. So so we're hopefully going to have a lot of fun. A lot of fun. If you need to know more about it or where it is, again, Chris, hopefully, can you send the link, Chris, for that? And we'll give you more details. Okay.
Bettis says, "Good morning, Rosemary and Gray Eagle. I
Good
read your
morning,
beautiful
Beta.
book, Soul Signs, and it was really useful."
It is really useful. I think, Chris, how do you describe the soul science book in that you've used it in your life? How do you describe it?
Well, I think you've already used the word I use, which is my Bible.
Right. I mean, it's the book you sort of, when you're going to meet new people, or if you're going into a meeting, a business meeting, and you want to know more about the people that you're perhaps doing business with. Can you trust them? Will you be compatible with them? If you're a business person and you're building a team, or if you're a coach and you're building a team, you want to put people with each other who complement each other's energy, and you get the best out of them as a team. Well, soul science does all of that. It explains our energy, and it explains how compatible we are with some and how incompatible we are with others. But even those who we are incompatible with, we can still make it work once we understand why we don't work. See, Chris?
Eric would like to know, do souls live forever on the other side?
I'd like to know that too, Eric. Sorry. Not being very helpful. Well, the only thing that can kill the soul is the soul itself. If the soul is not fed, if the soul is not nurtured, if the soul has its energy drained for whatever reason, yes, can souls die? Um, the only way for a soul to die or to become non existent is to have the energy of that soul destroyed, or in some cases, corrupted. That's a way bigger. That's a way bigger issue. Go ahead.
All right. I'm not seeing
Oh, this is
any
it then.
more.
Well, what time is it? Are we up? Are we out of time?
We have 3 or 4 minutes.
You've got 3 or 4 minutes. Anyone wants to put something up there quickly? But let me just, in this 3 or 4 minutes, let me just say then to everyone out there listening, and I know we have our regular listeners, and I love you, but it would be great if you could share, or you could send this to someone you might think would be interested in let's say in this subject. It would be interesting if you could share, and when you go onto places like Instagram, um, YouTube, uh, Facebook. There's so many. TikTok, Substack. I don't know, whatever. When you go on these places, if you want more of this, if you want me to keep going with more of this, then I need to ask you, please, can you give more of yourselves by liking, by commenting, by sharing? I think is the biggest thing. We need to share with others, because it's all very well and good. I'm sitting here saying I've got all of this knowledge and these amazing insights, and which I want to share with you. But if those I share with want to just hold it to themselves and don't want to share, well, what's the good in that? So we need to get the word out to people. We do not die. And the spirit world sees all, which is the name of this show. The spirit world sees all, which it does. And we need to bring that message to as many people as we possibly can. And I feel very strongly about this. I'm getting older. My time, somebody mentioned time, my time on this earth is sort of, not quite, but yeah, it's getting there, running out. Um, and so we need to share, and we need to let people know of the things that we know, and the things that we learn, and the things that bring us comfort and inspiration. So please, sort of, uh, if you enjoy these shows, if you enjoy asking these questions, there are other people out there who don't even know we do this. So if you could sort of put it out there so that, as many people as we can, we need to let people know that this is an amazing topic. It's an amazing subject. It's inspirational and life changing. So if I sit here every week and do my bit. I'm asking you, can you do yours? Do we have anything else, Chris, before we end the show?
Eric thinks you should mention your subscription program and your Gray Eagle Speaks book.
Okay, well, we do have a subscription program. Thank you, Eric. And this is for people who really want to go more in depth with the subject. And I'm loving it. I'm loving doing it. Again, if you want to know more about that, email rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com. We are going to be sharing some of the things out of the Grey Eagle Speaks book. words of wisdom by Great Eagle. We're going to be sharing them from time to time on all of this different media that we're having. And we're sort of coming to a point now where that I'm into the, let's say I'm into the final edits. It's amazing. It's amazing when you hear what Grey Eagle has to say about just about you. You think of a topic that we on this earth plane have trouble with, have difficulty with, or have joy with and pleasure with. Think of a topic, any topic at all, and Grey Eagle will give you the answer to the questions on those topics. Yes, amazing. All right, Chris, that's it, I think. So it's time to say goodbye to everyone. So before we do that, I'd like to say thank you to Great Eagle very much for always being here with us, inspiring us and giving his wisdom. I'd like to say thank you to Chris. I'd like to say thank you to all of you who are watching. Please, everyone, have a very blessed rest of the day. Have a very blessed weekend. And if you're thinking of something to do at the weekend, share, comment, like. I'm giving you a job to do. You got to, get up there and do it. So please, everyone, have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed rest of the weekend. Bye bye, everyone.